Welcome to Politics Nation. I'm Al Sharpton. Tonight's lead, the election fairness. At a raucous campaign event in New Hampshire this afternoon, President Obama laid out his vision for this country, a vision of America where everyone has a shot at success, a vision where the middle class thrives, a vision that stands in direct opposition to that of Mitt Romney, a man who made millions in junk bonds, who always made sure the cards were stacked in his favor, and who profited by sending jobs overseas.
It was reported that Governor Romney's old firm owned companies that were pioneers in the business of outsourcing American jobs to places like China and India. They tried to clear this up by telling us there's actually a difference between outsourcing and offshoring. That's what they said. You cannot make this stuff up. What Governor Romney and his advisors don't seem to understand is this. If you're a worker whose job went overseas, you don't need somebody trying to explain to you the difference between outsourcing and offshoring. You need somebody who's going to wake up every single day and fight for American jobs and investment here in the United States. That's what you need. That's why I'm running.
The president's right. Wordplay means nothing. Nothing to someone who's seen their jobs leave the country. In a few minutes, we'll talk to a woman whose job is being outsourced by Bain Capital. She and 169 of her colleagues will soon be out of work. Offshoring or outsourcing, either way, she's without a job. That's Romney's economy. Profits over people is not what President Obama's offering.
That's how we built this country together. By making these common investments, everybody would have the platform. Everybody would have the capacity to do better. It would make us all richer. Together, it gave all of us opportunity. Together, we moved forward together as one nation and as one people, and that is the right lesson for our future. That's why I'm running for a second term as President of the United States, because I want us all to move forward together.
We can move forward together, but we can't with a candidate who doesn't offer solutions or who only does when he's surrounded by the top 1%. We can't move forward with a man whose tax plan is so vague it can't even be scored. Here's the thing. Romney hates specifics for the vast majority of Americans. He reserves specifics for a special place.
Are there no fair questions about the distribution of wealth without it being seen as envy, though?
I think it's fine to talk about those things in quiet rooms.
In quiet rooms, Romney talks. And I'm sure he talked in the quiet room he was in this weekend. Donors who raised $100,000 got the chance to spend the weekend with Romney, as well as people like Karl Rove, the man behind two super PACs looking to spend millions of dollars to take down this president. That's Romney's economic policies in a nutshell. Short on details if you can pay up. Joining me now, Congresswoman Karen Bass, Democrat from California, and Alicia Menendez, host of HuffPost Live. Thank you both for being here this evening.
Thanks for having us on.
Congresswoman, let me ask you, one of the men running for president profited from jobs that were sent overseas. Are we on uncharted territory here?
Well, actually, I don't think we are. And, and I think Romney has been pretty specific. He has said that he supports Paul Ryan's budget. He has said that the Arizona immigration law was a model. So I think he has been clear. It's just that he doesn't like to be pinned down in interviews sometimes. But if he supports the Paul Ryan budget, he believes in ending Medicare as we know it.
That's very specific. Let me ask you something, Alicia. The treasurer of a major super pro-Romney super PAC was spotted in the lobby of the retreat this weekend. He just happened to be there. I guess he was just happened to be in the neighborhood out in Utah. His name is Charlie Spies, and he's treasurer of Restore Our Future, the super PAC that has raised $64 million for Romney. Now, the Romney campaign released this statement. Restore Our Future staff was not invited. They may have been in public places, and the campaign did not control that. We are fully aware of the law and comply with it completely. The campaign did nothing illegal, but this doesn't raise some red flags. I mean, the fact is, super PACs are not supposed to be co-strategizing or planning with campaigns. And I'm sure if this was the other way around, they'd be raising all kinds of issues about this.
Well, on the surface, they didn't do anything illegal, but that's not kudos to Team Romney. That's a major problem with our campaign finance laws, the fact that these two groups can just be in public places together and potentially talk in those public places. It's a lack of transparency. It begins here. It ends with Citizens United. And it's going to play a major role in November's outcomes.
The Congresswoman said that Mr. Romney's been specific with support of the Ryan budget. Politico had a huge article, very long article this weekend I read, on Romney's unwillingness to take a stand on anything. It says, and let me quote this, it says, vague, general, or downright evasive policy prescriptions on some of the most important issues facing the country are becoming the rule for Romney. It goes on to say, Romney is remarkably candid, almost as though he's reading the stage directions about why he won't offer up details. He thinks it will undermine his chance to win. What does that mean?
It means this guy does not like specifics. Listen, he went to NALEO, he gave this big speech about immigration, and somehow managed not to mention 11.5 million undocumented Americans who are potentially the most contentious element of our immigration debate. Similarly, he talks about all his deficit-busting measures without telling us how he's going to offset all of those cuts. There's a report out today from Senate Democrats saying most likely it will result in tax increases to middle-class families. The guy knows that if those details come out, they become unsavory to the general elector. So
the strategy, Congresswoman, is to don't be specific because you'll lose votes. I mean, when you look at how he's dodged issue after issue on Obama's immigration policy, he's promised to offer a long-term solution. What that solution is, who knows? There's no word if he supports the Paycheck Fairness Act. All he has said is that he supports pay equity, whatever that means. We don't know what he'll cut to balance the budget. He told the Weekly Standard that he's, quote, not going to give you a list right now. And as far as foreign policy goes, he won't apologize for America, whatever that means. So he's really trying to have it both ways, taking broad positions that appeals to his base, as you say, the Ryan plan. But when you get to specifics, even issues that come up daily, he kind of ducks, dodges, or hides.
Well, actually, I think, Reverend, it's kind of back to that Etch-a-Sketch moment, because thank goodness for the primary. He was in a number of different debates. He took stances on plenty of issues. What this play is, which we know because we've seen it before, as soon as the primary ends, he's trying to move back toward the center. But we need to go back to all of those debates, back to the time when he made very clear positions. He called for resolving immigration by having the massive self-deportation of people, if you can even imagine that. You know, he was very clear in what he wanted to do when it was the primary. The day after the primary, when everybody else dropped out, that's when you had that Etch-a-Sketch happen. And now he's Mr. Vague. He doesn't want to be pinned down on anything. Well, thank goodness for video, because we can go back and capture his words and say to him, this is what you said this day. Now, have you changed your mind or what? To say on day one, I'm going to introduce a new immigration policy is saying that he disagrees with what the president did, and he's going to do everything he can to overturn that.
But in the absence of his being specific, the president's been very specific and clear on what he's proposing, whether it wins or loses support from him. Watch this on his economic policy.
First of all, they promised to roll back all kinds of regulation on banks and polluters and insurance companies and oil companies. They also then want to add another $5 trillion in tax cuts on top of that, including a 25% tax cut for every millionaire in the country. Unfortunately, that is their entire economic plan. That's it. When Mr. Romney tells us he's some sort of financial wizard who can fix our economy, that's exactly how he intends to do it.
Now, there you see the president specific about Romney's plan and the Republican plan. And he's very clear on where it will go. It'll go to the top 1%.
And that is something that is very clear if you follow this as closely as you and I do. What the Romney camp is clearly banking on is that a lot of Americans aren't checking in for another few months to this race. They are very concerned about this economy, and they are desperate for leadership. And in the absence of real leadership, he is hoping to sell these platitudes. He's hoping to sell his experience as a businessman without anyone looking too specifically at what his experience in business is. So,
but Congresswoman, at the same time, he's tried to play on the politics of envy and saying it's class warfare. But if we look at the facts, with all the talk that the GOP has about the president is stifling business, what we do know is corporate profits are high, at an all-time high. So clearly what the president has been doing has not hurt those that are at the top of these corporations. In fact, they're making more money than ever, while he's saying, but let us share and make sure that everyone is in a better place.
Well, and you correctly point out that corporate profits are high. They're at the highest, and wages are at their lowest.
Right.
You know, maybe Romney's campaign slogan should be, trust me because I'm rich, because basically that's the only thing that he's bringing to the table. If we look at the track record of Bain Capital, if we look at the communities that have been hurt, the jobs that have been lost, if that's what he wants to offer for the American people, I would say we're going to be a nation that's going to be in a great deal of pain should there be a Romney presidency. However, I'm convinced that won't be the case.
Congresswoman Bass and Alicia Menendez, thank you both for joining me this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us on.